everyone. Today I'm going to show how to hardenize firewalls and also to specify the secure firewall rules in all firewalls. Okay, don't specify with Mikrotik. Hardening a router OS is for Mikrotik, but the second part of this video is about all firewalls in general. Let's go to start. First, we're going to see the router OS Mikrotik settings, and after the firewall rules. Okay, the first check is see if the unused services are disabled. If not, you have to disable, for example, .NET, AP, APSSL, and more. So you just have to enable the network, the management network to access through Winbox. The default port for Winbox is 8291. Okay. If do you want, you can change. The recommendation is change. Okay. So you have to modify the default port and limit access to a specific network. I recommend the management network. Your network, on-premise network, should have a specific VLAN or specific network just for management. Okay. The second check is about Mac Winbox. Okay, you have to just enable the login just in one interface. Okay, just in one interface. In the you don't have to enable in all, because by default is enabled in all interfaces, just one interface. Okay, this is the recommendation to reduce the attack surface. The router management overlay network. What is this? This is a Mikrotik proprietary protocol to administrate to management the Mikrotik router. Okay, it's disabled by default, but you have to check that this is disabled. This protocol don't use layer 3, don't use IP address. This protocol just use layer 2 properties. So an attacker is able to connect to the management without permissions in the network. Okay, because it do bypass IP controls, because Roman use layer 2 protocol. Okay, perfect. I have to rename the default admin account. By default, this admin is the name of the admin account, so you have to change. You have to apply a strong password policy. Yep. Say the right permissions to router users. Okay, so you have to create groups and you have to put permission in these groups, and also is recommended to perform a backup login account. Okay, router interfaces, you have to disable all interfaces that you don't use. Okay, you have to disable in order to decrease unauthorized access to your router. For example, in this case, we don't have traffic here, so these interfaces are disabled. Okay, also you have to disable also the neighbor discovery in the one interface, in the ESP interface, in the one interface. Okay, because we don't want that another people receive about neighbor packets, neighbor discovery packets, just into the network, into the on-premise network, but not out. That's the reason that we have to disable this in the WAN interface. Okay, so WAN interface are disabled for neighbors discovery. Perfect. This is an important, interesting setting. Okay, about logs. You have to perform register of all the events with SNMP version 3, not version 1, not version 2, both are vulnerable. You have to enable SNMP version 3. Okay, you enable syslog also, and you have to connect to the syslog server. And also, I recommend a L7 filter. You are able to filter with domains. For example, I don't want that the users use WhatsApp or Facebook. You are able to do this configuration in Mikrotik Firewall. Also, I recommend to perform email spam control, a port scanner control, ECMP flood control, SANE flood control, and DOS attack protection. Okay, interesting. So let's go right now with the firewall rules. This is an example of a network. Okay, we have the DMC, the LAN and the management, and the ISP. But we have here the Mikrotik routers, that it is the firewall and the router. Okay, so we have three networks, and we have the firewall. The firewall is connected to the WAN, to the internet. Okay. What is the recommendation here? The recommendation here is basically in the DMS. We have here the servers, the web servers, the databases, and more. Okay, so here we have to enable the traffic between the outside, the internet, in direction to the DMC. Okay, not in the reverse direction. Okay, but there are cases that servers have to access to the public internet, but in most of the cases isn't recommended that the DMs have a connection between DMS to the public internet. In this case, we have to allow in this direction from the public internet to the DMs. Okay. With LAN, obviously, we have to protect. This is the principal reason of the firewall. In firewall, have to protect the LAN, so the traffic between the public internet and the LAN have to be blocked, directly blocked. Okay, just connection established between the LAN and the internet we have to allow. Okay, and also, okay, in the direction from public internet to the LAN is blocked, have to be blocked. Okay, but the direction between LAN and public internet we have to allow, because obviously the users need to use internet to work. Okay, perfect. So basically, just the ports right now, just the ports of the DMs are exposed to the internet. What about the management? Also, because you have to perform a management from the outside of the company. For example, if you travel, you have to get access to the management. So also you have to allow the traffic between the public internet and the management. Yeah, with the determined ports in all cases. Okay, this is in general. So management router, just management network has to be able to connect to the Mikrotik router OS. For example, just the port 80, 8291. For example, 8291. Just this network have to be access to this port. Wherever that are and not, the management have to be blocked. Okay, have to be blocked. So this management have to get access to this port, to Winbox port or the HTTPS access to the Mikrotik OS, to get access to the web interfaces. Okay, so to management router. Perfect. So what about the firewall risk factor? What about the password? The principal issues that the people perform when set up a firewall are the following: inbound internet connectivity, access to internal resources from the internet across multiple services. Okay, so what is the solution? To perform just this direction: internet to DMs, no more. Okay, outbound internet connectivity, access to internet from zones inside enterprise network, access to broad internet ranges. Okay, we have to be very careful with this because this is with when you don't put security rules. Also, the SSH is open to the world, access to internal network. Yeah, this is also a firewall risk factor. Inconsistent data flow across zones, firewall rules which allows data flow from a public truth zone to a restricted truth zone. Okay, so in cases we have to verify that the zones that we create don't have a don't have connection with another zones. Okay, so we have to check the ports, the rules, deny access to a large port ranges, unrestricted access to resources. Allow to see the next. The commission and host rules with the commission and host violate security policy, access to domains which are down purposely provision of firewall rules to access hosts that are currently not available. All firewall rules, several rules with destination tags pointing to all their firewall policies. This is very important because in my experience, when I check a firewall, there are a lot of old firewall rules. Source Microsoft network service with access from to the entirety of an internal network. And also we have here rules without logging enable, rules with no integration with logging capability. This is interesting because if a cyber attack happen, we have to get access to the logs. Okay, so it's important that you set up the logs, the log, and send to the log server. Okay, or with SNMP to check the firewall, the status and health. Also, I recommend the block bogon networks to protect about anti-spoofing, filtering traffic for bogon IP ranges, which are IP addresses that shall not appear in your private networks, so you have to block. These ranges are often misused by attackers for malicious activities such as spoofing, recognized or unauthorized access attempts. So, for example, here I basically put a Mikrotik rules firewall to block the input chain for these others. Ones, for example, 169.254.0.0, and so yeah. So why this address? Because And basically, I have just three networks, constant networks. I don't want. I am not able. I it isn't normal that I receive traffic from this other network. So basically, I have to block to avoid attacks, avoid and reduce the surface attack. What are the bad practices? Okay, um, basically, like like this is basically the same. For example, unsecured access to internet over known as protocols like HTTP. Yeah, you have to use always a ciphers protocols with ciphers. Okay, no use FTP, no use Telnet, no use nothing without a cipher. Consistent data flow across true zones, access to internal resources from outside world, across a broad number of IP ranges and ports, firewall rules with any tag on destination, which opens up the resource completely without any protection. Yeah, we have to be very careful with the any. Okay, so we have to perform the rule check. Connection made to domains that no longer exist increase the risk of domain takeover. This is this is a interesting attack because we have to disable completely all firewall rules, all uh, don't exist domains, so we have to disable for avoid subdomain takeover. Static IP addresses in destination fields. Okay, rules that enable word access over SSH, all firewall tags, improper logging, open access to the DMS services from within an internal network. Recommendations. This recommendation: block all traffic by default. When you create the rules in wherever firewall, you have to block everything at the start, and after that you have to explicitly enable only specific traffic to now services. This strategy provides good control over the traffic and reduces the possibility of a breach because of service misconfiguration. You achieve this behavior by confirming the last rule in an access control list to deny all traffic. Okay, you have to the last rule have to be the to deny all traffic. You can do this explicitly or implicitly depending on the platform. Another is disable unused ports and services and router, a strong password policy, disable discover interfaces. Interesting, for example, this is when you disable neighbor discovery protocols. All of these kind of protocols, layer 2, layer 3, is interesting to disable. For example, Cisco has a proprietary discovery interfaces protocols, and Mikrotik also has. So you have to search. You have to search what are the proprietary protocols that your firewall use, and you have to disable. Okay, flow should be created, synchronized, enable syslog, an SNMP for monitoring the router, separate network for each LAN and server. This is very important because if a attacker access to the LAN, the attacker don't have access to the servers, to the critical servers at the beginning. Okay, use address list to group all address for use it in firewall. Perfect. Use action zoom to organize the firewall rules and better performance. Use firewall to protect router safe inside network and the servers. Perfect. That's all. Okay, that's all. This is a list of checking configuration at Mikrotik routers. Yeah. So right now, I recommend you to practice the hardening of your router of your home routers. You have to practice. You have to hardening your home router. Okay. Let me know wherever question. Thank you so much.